Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 474. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Are you a leader that is ready to build competence and capacity for effective decision-making in business and in life? You want to lean in and listen to Dr. Veirdre Jackson. She's an award-winning author, educator, and entrepreneur. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richards. I appreciate this opportunity to have a conversation with you, as well as hopefully support your listeners.
I've given our audience, Dr. Jackson, a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
Well, I think first, initially recognizing I'm an educator turned entrepreneur. I got into the desire to actually create legacy and impact the lives of children by impacting the lives of the adults who support, serve, and raise them. And in that season and time in which I became a trainer, I became a professor, and I realized that there was more that I wanted to do, but fear kept me stuck for a long time. And once I broke through kind of that fear barrier, I actually launched Living Strong Consulting from my sickbed. I had allowed toxic stress to actually live in my body so long and so consistently that my body wore down. And from my sickbed, I launched all of the ideas that I wanted to be able to see to impact the lives of children and communities. And so September of 2016, Living Strong Consulting was launched. And since that time, I can't believe that it took me so long. And two, I am absolutely able to live my heart work every single day. And I'm passionate around providing any type of organization that touches the lives of children with trauma-informed approaches and understanding the intersection between trauma and social injustice and how that trauma lives in our bodies. It changes our brain, it impacts our behaviors, and it creates or stagnates our relationships. And so as a trainer, an author, an educator, and a business owner, I'm really all about how can I help others refill.
That's amazing. When you talk about your personal journey and fear, what was that aha moment that you knew that you actually broke through the fear?
It was actually in the sickbed. So I am an avid runner and I run just about every day. And it actually saved my life because there was a season in time in which I thought about dying more than living, and it was dance and running that allowed me to come back to myself. But in that time of living in a place of being shackled by fear, the toxic stress showed up as tumors in my body. And when it was necessary for me to stop running, to stay still, and the surgery actually required me to stay in the bed for 10 days. And in that time, it was like a download of, will you stop running and just do what I've called you to do? And that breakthrough happened when I literally could not stop writing about the things that I loved and began to actually think about all of the relationships I had, the network I had created, and that, you know what? I could actually launch these ideas and create impact.
What is your zone of genius, Dr. Jackson?
You know what? I think my zone of genius actually impacts everyone around me. I truly believe that what is for me is for me. So I am not afraid to be creative, to think outside of the box, and I'm not competing against anyone else. I truly believe in staying true to why I am here and what I want to represent. And so that frees me up from looking to the left or the right because I'm not competing against anyone else. What's for me is for me. And if I stay true to who I've been called to be, it will happen for me.
Who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is any type of organization or leader that desires to make a deep impact in the lives of children, but they are willing to be honest that what they are currently doing is not working. As a consultant and a trainer, I know that there's a lot of conversation around diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, social injustice, trauma. They're all catchphrases, but everyone's not ready to do the work. Some are still focused on just creating a department. My ideal client are organizations that recognize they want to create a system, a systemic response to impacting the lives, doing the deeper work, and that it actually starts within the organization, not just creating programming that is external of the organization.
Give us 3 truths that you've learned about life and business.
Wow, 3 truths. The first is recognize if you take your eyes off of chasing money, put your head down and focus on doing the work, the money will come. And so I've learned to actually focus more on purpose than the platform, and the platform has begun to show up. The other is actually tied to something I shared earlier. Because I believe what's for me is for me, everything I do, I'm constantly looking for collaboration. Anything that I'm desiring to do, if I can do it by myself, I'm thinking too small. So a hard truth for me is I'm always looking for networks, collaborations, people that I can connect with so that we can go big and we can go far together. The third is actually stop when you are depleted. That is a huge component of the work that I've actually committed to 2024. People are talking about how tired they are, but it was actually about being tired. You could take a nap and come right back. People are going on vacation and coming back still exhausted. So it's not about being tired. It's recognizing when you are depleted and get strategic about refilling.
That's huge. And someone's listening and they say, Dr. Jackson, how do I actually do that?
Well, it's 6 specific strategies. So refill is actually an acronym. It's just not an action. So each one of those letters represents a strategy. The first one is rewire for belonging. After everything we have gone through globally, recognizing that as human beings, we are hardwired for belonging. And so the very first, the R, is let us rewire our brains, our practices, our emotions around and stop working against our brain and work in alignment with how we're wired as humans. Rewire for belonging. The second is the ethical imperative of soul care. So whenever I share that, it actually comes out of Dr. Charles Figley's work, the founding researcher of compassion fatigue. It's recognizing that if we do not have an ethical commitment to soul care, you cannot show up as your fullest self and serve others if you are empty. But it's not just a TikTok slogan. It is actually an ethical imperative that you refill because you cannot give your best to others, and therefore you could potentially do more damage than good. The F is find your strength. Find your strength. Where's your power base? And the I is involve a growth plan. People think that just because I showed up, I'm doing the thing, when actually growth does not automatically happen. Growth takes intentionality. And so it requires planning. So involve a growth plan. And then L is let it go. Whatever your it is. Now, for me, I usually in the full training of Refill, I walk them through how for me, unforgiveness stopped up my whole soul. And when I actually released that, it released and allowed so much of my creativity to be released out of me. So that at the first L is let it go. Whatever your it is stopping you from being all that you can potentially be. And the last is leverage your energy. We hear a whole lot about time management. Time is actually finite, but energy is renewable. And so if we begin to recognize we all only have 24 hours a day, thinking about how can I leverage my energy tanks so that I am operating in the best sequence, in the best periods of the day, and I'm actually chunking my day based on when I am at my optimal energy levels, both in our physical tank, our emotional tank, our relational tank, and our spiritual tank.
You talked about being an author. Share about the book that you wrote and the name.
So I actually have two. So the first book is a faith-based book that helped me break through this concept of fear. It's called Fearless Conversations with the Limitless God. And it's great for everyone because it actually helps us understand this concept that fear actually isn't our enemy. We need fear. If the bear comes in the room, we need fear to tell us, get up and get out. So fear isn't the issue. It is when fear shifts from being a response signal to our residence. And the strategies within Fearless Conversations with the Limitless God takes a faith-based look at how we can look at 9 specific strategies to help us come out of hiding. Come out of hiding. It is time for you to be seen and to do the thing that you have been called to do. The second is actually my free ebook. If people want more information about Refill, they can go to refillmeplease.com and access the free ebook. It takes you through those 6 strategies that I just shared and connects you with everything that I'm doing around this work of healing from burnout.
I want you to have a monologue. I want you to name this person, living or not. They've inspired you so much. Who is that person and what are you saying to that person?
Wow. I am saying thank you. I'm saying not only thank you for speaking to me, but seeing me. There was a period in time I was hiding and I didn't even know I was hiding, and you saw me. You took a risk, even though my wall was up, even though I was guarded, even though I was pushing everyone away. You took a risk and you leaned in. And even when I didn't want it, you were patient, you were caring, and you absolutely created space to help me shift my belief systems about my value, about my purpose, about my potential. And because of your patience, because of the safety you provided me, even before I truly actually deserved it, you created space for me to breathe again. And I just want to say thank you. And look what you have done.
Oh, that's powerful. Thinking of an attitude of gratitude, I want you to have what I call a thank fest. And I want you to thank people and situations that have inspired you and propelled you to your journey.
Wow. So the first one is actually probably going to sound odd because I just shared how unforgiveness clogged me up. And so actually the first thank you I would give would be to the person who represented the pain that sent me into a place of darkness. Because if I had not gone there, I would not know the capacity I have for leaving that space. And I recognize now looking back at that they had not dealt with their pain and therefore it was impacting others. And so I not only have gratitude, but compassion as I'm living from a free place now because what you thought would destroy me actually became not my burial, but my planting. And now I am growing from that place as things have been broken off of me. So actually, thank you to first one is thank you to the person who thought they were going to defeat and destroy. The second is, you know what? I am so grateful for family, for relationships, for a sister circle. I am grateful for every client and every child that trusts me with an opportunity to pour into their lives. I am grateful for teams that actually allow themselves to be vulnerable, to do the thing that they're not used to doing and come outside of their comfort zone. I am grateful for just being able to be in a place where I am able to live authentically and to live in truly loving the skin that I'm in.
Advice you wish you had followed.
It actually is directly tied to entrepreneurship. I had a vision at the time of I had hired a branding coach. So if for those of you who don't know, a branding coach is someone you hire to help you create a brand and an image for the next level move that you want to make. At the time, I was working for a multi-million dollar nonprofit and I wanted a VP position. I was a director at the time and was directing one of the most profitable departments. And I felt it was my time and my turn to become a VP. So I hired this branding coach and we went through 2 or 3 sessions and she paused and she said, I know you have hired me for to help you brand yourself as a VP executive, but I'm telling you, it's actually time for you to be an entrepreneur. And I literally paused and said, that's not what I'm paying you for. That's not for me. I want to be a VP. And she paused, she said, oh, okay, you can keep paying me, but I'm telling you, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. But we'll continue to go through these sessions. And then I got really sick and was forced into it. And I laugh now every time I'm with her because we're still connected. And I said, I should have just listened to you the first time. I could have saved money, saved time, and just been obedient and did the thing.
I love that. Dr. Jackson, what problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
That children are misunderstood and often not listened to, and therefore not seen. When we misunderstand that all behavior is either a cry for love or an act of love. And so instead of labeling, if we got to a place where we really wanted to create spaces that were safe, valued, and heard for children, even the ones that push our buttons, that raise the hair on the back of our head, or truly frustrate us. Honestly, children are not waking up in the morning, putting their pants on and saying, I'm going to give it to them when I get there today. They're actually just operating out of a place that they're seeking love. And if they haven't had it, if they're starving for it, they're going to make poor choices in still trying to get it. And so I feel like one of our main issues as we talk about alpha generation is recognizing we are not serving them well. And one of my driving quotes from former Representative John Lewis is, they will ask us, what did you do? And what did you say? And I want to make sure that the next generation looks back and says, she said the thing and she was courageous enough to do it.
Speaking of legacy, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I actually often ask my mentors, my mentees, what is it that resonates with you about my soul? Inevitably, it is the word integrity, that she was clear about who she was, what she was here to do, and who she wanted to be. And so she lived an integral life. That at her core, integrity resonates in all of the work and the things that she touched.
Let's talk about raising capital. How did you raise capital to start your business?
So it's interesting. After finally getting obedient and getting into the process, I didn't have any capital. And I actually had a passing conversation with a very good friend at the time. And I was telling her about this idea. I was still in the sick bed. And I said, I feel like maybe VP isn't what I'm supposed to do. And I started sharing the ideas, the connections, and my next steps. And she actually wrote me a check, mailed it to me. And in the note, she said, I believe in what you are doing, and I want to be the very first one to invest in you. And that literally, it created almost like this pivot, and someone else actually believes in the same thing and will give me money, significant money, to get this off of the ground. And from there, I actually went back to that same branding coach who was launching a group of entrepreneurs. And it was a 6-week process where we were in small groups to launch our businesses. So I put that investment in that course, and she guided me through how to tap into the network, the name I had already created for myself from 20 plus years of experience with other organizations, tap into them. And when I tell you, it took off, and I've never looked back.
That's awesome. I've heard your why should make you cry. Dr. Jackson, why do you do what you do?
Because I recognize I am often in spaces where the most marginalized children's voice is not represented in the room. I'm often in rooms where people don't look like me, where the decision makers do not have the same narrative or experiences that I have had, and the children that I know are pushed out to the farthest parts of that power circle. And so I have made a commitment that I will be courageous and fearless in any space that I am standing in which I can be a voice for those who would never naturally be in this room and would potentially be forgotten about if I did not say the disruptive thing or ask the disruptive question.
Talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger you?
I love that because you know what? Tomorrow I'm actually going to have a generational conversation with a Gen Xer. She's 19, and she asked me if we could have a conversation on the show about being enough, because she feels like Gen Zers are so consumed with so many other things, and they think that they should be somewhere in life that is unrealistic. And I would say to my younger self, you're okay. You do not need to figure all of this out right now. Stay the course, stay clear, stay true. There is no you should have done by now. There is now. So take now and do the best you can with now and make sure you are not hiding from you. As long as you continue to rise up and be you, everything that is intended for you will come to you. Stop stressing, girlfriend. You're okay. It'll be okay. You are enough.
Talk about your show. Talk about your radio show.
Well, the radio show actually echoes much of the work that I do, but on the flip side of it. So instead of unpacking trauma, social injustice, and equity, it actually talks about how you create a flip to healing. So the name of the show is Living Strong, the Flip Side of Adversity. And I invite guests on who have a story, but we don't just sit with what happened, but how they actually created a flip. How did they move from what happened to what is possible? And they're actually creating abundant living through either relationship, skills, time management, emotional regulation, mental or mindset shifts, faith, or simply being able to recognize that their physical health will prevent them from being able to do all of the things that are possible for them.
What breaks your heart?
When I see a child that does not realize that they are valuable, whatever message has been given to them, whatever circumstance they are living in or living through, has robbed them of recognizing that they are loved and lovable, that what they have gone through does not define their value. And so when I see that loss and sorrow in a child's eyes, it literally makes my soul cry. But at the same time, it continues to push me because there's more work for us to do.
Let's talk about love and entrepreneurship.
Beautiful. Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is recognizing that love is not just simply an emotion. It is actually an opportunity for you to create action, to show evidence of value, of priority, of generosity. And so when I think about love and entrepreneurship, it's not about the ooey gooey moments, because any entrepreneur who is listening knows those ooey gooey moments will fly by and get forgotten in the grind and the hustle and the sheer hard work that it takes to launch and live, maintain, and sustain a business. So when I think about love and entrepreneurship, it is the commitment to the whole package of you and what you want to do and the business. It is loving the impact and the people you are serving. Even if you are creating a product for a product line, it is about who is going to receive that, and do you value everyone who is going to be touched by your business, by your craft, by your presentation, by your platform, by your service. Putting that love into action in the integrity of what you are producing, so that it's not just about whether or not you're having a good time or whether or not this is easy. This is about a commitment to an action that's going to impact others.
Dr. Jackson, there are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
Oh, wow. I think it's difficult for me to think of because I actually look for the smaller business that's doing the thing well. So I tend to like to go after small businesses that are making an impact, and whatever craft they are doing, whatever brand image that they are committed to, they actually do it with integrity. It's interesting. Just this past weekend, I worked on a branding project with my trainer. And I actually gifted her with the opportunity to have my photographer, my media team, because not just because she's a trainer, but the name of the company is Find Your Strength Fitness. And when she embodies, so when I say she embodies the work, the passion for people, how she shows up in the work that she is doing with others, the timeless energy she puts into making sure your mind matches the work that you're putting, that it's that kind of thing for me. That when you are showing up in a way as a small business, that you are when I walk into your business, it matches the media image that you put out there. For me, that's golden.
What is your biggest takeaway? The audience is listening. What do you want them to take away from our conversation today?
I would take us back to the conversation on refill. I feel like, especially as entrepreneurs, we can lose track of either it's a quick depletion or it has been depleting a little bit over time and we have not been paying attention. And we look up and we're not motivated. We're physically not well. We're distracted or we're running after money that doesn't even align with your purpose anymore. And those things deplete us. And I encourage us to do the strategies that intentionally refill your mind, your body, and your habit. And that's actually why I focus on soul care instead of self-care. Unfortunately, after everything we have been through, self-care has become this marketing tool. And in some organizations and companies, it's become a weapon. And so I've kind of turned away from, because I'm not talking about the pedicure or the golf trip. I'm actually talking about the deeper dive work. Refill your mind, refill the emotionally exhausted place you may be in, and refill with habits that are going to boost you into the next place you need to go, as my good friend Kalila Lyons would say.
And what does soul care look like to Dr. Jackson?
Dr. Jackson's soul care is creating a consistent regimen that holds me accountable every single day, not just in urgent moments, but in everyday consistent practice of checking in with my body, my breath, checking in with my mind, the stability and health of it, and checking in with, if I do this, does this align with who I said I want to be? Not just what I'm doing, but who I said I want to be. And that is a daily practice, not just a response in urgency.
Let's talk about the last 30 days. Give us a snapshot of what was your win in the last 30 days.
It's interesting because the last 30 days have been, when I say a train leaving the station, back at the top of our conversation, when you get focused on doing the work with integrity and you're focused on adding value to others, opportunity will run you down. So I went through a lot of shifts and changes in 2023. Every goal that I had set, none of them happened. Everything went crazy, but it wasn't actually what I had planned. Other things, other opportunities that I would have never planned for showed up. And this internal voice, the spirit just kept telling me, it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. And so focus in on doing the work. And the past 30 days, I have been in cities, I've been on trains, I've been on planes, I've been on the highway, going, serving, and I can't even keep up with the opportunities that keep coming to my door. So it's been a train ride, but I'm grateful.
How do you celebrate your wins?
I rest without guilt. without apology. I acknowledge that I have done hard, good work, and you can rest without feeling like you are compromising anything.
Dr. Jackson, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? And I want you to answer that question.
Wow. What continues to bring you joy? And I would answer it because recognizing that joy is a state of being that is not determined by your circumstances. I found joy and actively cultivating joy in the darkest season of my life. And because of the practices that I consistently do to refill, it has helped me create a condition of joy, even when things are uncertain, even when things are rocky. I am able to tap back into the spirit that is within me, my spiritual disciplines. I am able to pay attention to my body through sensations, not just emotions, but what my body is telling me so that my state of being stays grounded in joy, even when things can be chaotic around me. So I would say what brings me joy, it is that soul care of consistency because I know that it's a state of being not defined by situation or circumstances.
I want to step back a minute. You talked about that pivotal moment and that shift in your life when you had the challenge in your body that had you bedridden. Take us to and tell us that story around recovery. When you were able to get out of bed, what did you do?
Well, the download that was happening those 10 days, I was investing in building the vision for the business that is now 7 years old. And I want to first make sure entrepreneurs who are listening hear me in that I did not know everything. I just wrote down everything that was in my mind at that time. And I didn't hold back because I wasn't sure how it was going to happen. I wrote it down because it was in my soul. There's still things on that 2016 list that I haven't done yet, but I have them on the list, so they're going to happen. So after those 10 days, I did the work. I did the paperwork. I registered the name. I did all of the work from that bed. I had to kick the pity party. I had to manage my mind and my emotions to navigate the pain and stay clear that on the other side of this, I am going to be living strong. And so I did the work so that by the time the 10 days were over, I was able to get out of the bed. Literally on day 10, the LLC that I had applied for the paperwork was there. It came in the mail and it was go time. And so it was coming out of that bed with a plan and the tools to get me started. And then I literally needed to walk it out. Physically, I had to gain the strength to walk again, to have the energy to move around. Remember, I said I was a runner. I wasn't allowed to run for 12 weeks. And so I had to get the strength back of walking, of moving, of paying more attention to what I was eating, because there was something I had birthed from that bed that I needed to be well enough to execute.
Thank you for that. We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and if you desire not to answer something, say pass. Are you ready for the rapid round of fun?
Oh, I hope so.
Your favorite comfort food?
French fries.
The last movie you saw?
Color purple.
You relaxed doing what?
Reading.
Your ideal car.
Oh, I don't know. I guess a BMW.
Your favorite singer or rapper.
Right now it's Fantasia. I am like all over the Color Purple soundtrack.
Your favorite dance song.
Wow, you got me on that one. I'm gonna have to pass because I don't want us to have dead air time. I have to think about that.
What food you eat every week, no matter what.
French fries.
Your favorite month.
June, my birthday month.
Hit the couch or work out.
Workout, absolutely.
Dr. Veirdre Jackson, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and to do business with you. And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Wonderful. So thank you again, Dr. Richards. I truly appreciate this opportunity. And I would love for everyone to connect with me by using refillmeplease.com. If you go to that link everything you need to be able to access me, to get the ebook, to learn how to get to all of the other things that I do, it's all inside that link, refillmeplease.com. And on all social media platforms, I am Dr. Veirdre, Veirdre Jackson.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.